As people living in the 21st century, we not only use and are influenced by some of the most complex innovations and massive social changes, we also create and inspire them. However, anything, no matter how complex or massive, sprouts from a single idea. The ability to plant an idea into someone's head is an extremely powerful force, as even the greatest of innovations can stem from the simplest idea. And TED is a nonprofit organization that epitomizes that reality.
TED invites various speakers to host powerful talks, varying issues and ideas as a homage to their motto, ideals worth spreading. The project is fueled by the organization's belief in the power of ideas to change attitudes, lives, and ultimately the world. It also stems from the idea of building a community of curious souls to engage with ideas and each other.
Today, we will be focusing on a specific independently run faction of the TED organization, TEDxCMU. Headed by a board of CMU students, TEDxCMU brings in speakers from all over the nation to our local community to give the talk of their lives in an effort to use ideas to foster a greater vision and desire to help create a better future.
Hi, my name is Nadili Nunez. I am a junior decision science major and I am president of TEDxCMU. First of all, TED is all about ideas worth spreading, and we really adopt that here at TEDxCMU. We strongly believe that ideas can impact people's attitudes, lives, and even the world. And so we bring TEDxCMU to campus so that we offer that space for people to engage with these ideas and really kind of help them motivate to follow their own aspirations.
There are 4 key historical figures that show us how one idea can go a long way: Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Rachel Carson, and Albert Einstein. Though the 4 main innovations of different genres, their success depended on the spread of their ideas and the public's knowledge and awareness of what they were fighting for. Nearly everyone knows the name Mahatma Gandhi, the man who brought independence to India through a series of nonviolent protests after years of British rule. When the British government implemented a tax on salt in India, the poor, with no money to purchase a condiment that is so essential to their survival, were put at risk. Gandhi's self-promise to help the underprivileged led to the Salt Satyagraha, in which he banded together an enormous amount of followers in peaceful defiance of the law at the ocean shore, where they gathered salt to process for consumption. This protest provided a way around the British salt monopoly, but it was successful not because of Gandhi alone, but because of the many followers he gathered. As Gandhi spread the idea of nonviolent protesting to gain independence from India, he not only garnered more support for his cause, but also was able to inspire future parties to incorporate nonviolence into their campaigns as well.
One such campaign was that of Martin Luther King Jr.'s in his fight for civil rights.
MLK is the perfect example of speaking out and voicing unheard opinions. His adherence to nonviolence was heavily influenced by Gandhi and his speeches, which promoted the idea that it is wrong to discriminate against blacks and motivated people to support him. Like Gandhi, MLK's fight for civil rights would not have gained momentum had people not heard of his ideas of equality and been aware of his cause.
I still have a dream.
Injustice is easy to realize. The difficulty lies in having courage to take a stance. What was noteworthy about MLK and Gandhi was that their lives were so powerful and they had such a profound and inspirational impact on their audience. Just like how TEDx speakers try consciously to leave an impact by planting ideas, MLK and Gandhi shapes people's perspective and social issues and inspired their motivations and willingness to get involved and change.
I'm Dan Boyarsky, and I'm professor in the School of Design here at Carnegie Mellon University. The title of my presentation was Kinetic Typography, the Art of Moving Messages. Well, one thing about kinetic typography is it's looking at the difference between messages on paper and messages on a screen, and they're very, very different. Although too often we consider messages on screen to be or to look like messages on paper, and I want people to think very differently about that. So what I hoped people would take away from the talk and the examples that I showed was that you can try different ideas without even having a very, very strong plan or very firm plan, and see where those ideas take you. Because in a way, I think that's very much at the heart of how I teach this class.
In 1962, Rachel Carson published a book called Silent Spring, explaining the horrifying effects the pesticide industry had on the environment. Carson called them biocides because the toxic chemicals killed not only insects, but also plants and animals. Here's how it worked. After a while, the insects gained resistance to the chemicals, and once that happened, the government manufactured stronger toxins to kill them. Eventually, the United States was producing 600 million pounds of synthetic pesticides a year, and each time, the pesticides caused greater deterioration to the environment. Due to the popularity of Carson's book, thousands of people became aware of the detriments of pesticides, and the government's use of them was put under greater scrutiny. The ideas she incorporated into Silent Spring were revolutionary, without which the environmental movement would not have launched, and we would not take the precautions we take today to preserve the environment.
Although many people only think of Albert Einstein as a brilliant scientist, he was much more than that. He was also heavily involved in politics. When Einstein discovered the equation E equals mc squared, it gave proof that large amounts of energy could be garnered from splitting atoms, and thus that an atomic bomb could be built. Though he was a pacifist and denounced war, Einstein urged President Franklin D. Roosevelt to develop the bomb to protect the US from Germany during World War II. Because he had no idea truly how destructive the bomb was, he thought that using the bomb would be a faster road to pacifism than not. After the bombs were dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Einstein deeply regretted his decision. Afterwards, even when there was a widespread fear of communism and nuclear weapons were seen as a key to showing the power of the United States, he spoke out against the use of the atomic bomb because he realized how important it was to make people realize its serious adverse side effects. Einstein realized that spreading his message was much more important than any potential backlash and consequences he may face from the government. Einstein is an example that perfectly shows how destructive a lack of awareness can be and how greatly it can drive a cause off its course. Like Einstein, TEDxCMU hopes to eliminate a lack of awareness in others and spark discussion on different ideas.
So what do I want them to learn from after attending a TEDxCMU event? Well, what's great about the event is that, after every talk, you're learning something or gaining something new, and it could be either a story that tells you, despite what idea or despite how many no's you get, you can definitely try this out, or you can definitely succeed in whatever you want as long as you are smart about it and really have the drive. It could also just be stepping out and thinking, man, I never thought of music that way, and just completely just change your perspective in something. So it just really varies. It's just about how can that talk relate to you personally, and how can it incorporate itself in your life.
The one thing I hope people would take away from my talk is don't be afraid to take chances. Take risks. Don't spend so much time planning. Just give it a try. So that's the essence of what I hope they take away from my talk.
From famous historical figures such as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Rachel Carson, and Albert Einstein, contemporary everyday figures such as Professor Boyarsky, we see that a simple idea is imperative in order to make a difference in the world. As closure to this analysis, in our chapter of Innovation and Social Change class, we would like to bring back the first idea that Professor Slate planted in our minds at the beginning of the semester, SOG.
Each of the four figures had their individual significance in their respective movements in class: nonviolence, civil rights, environmentalism, and pacifism. Even guest speaker Dr. Boyarsky utilized technology as his focus in bettering society. Yet their impact was not necessarily due to the nature of their speeches, but rather the publicity that they have achieved.
Though each figure seemed like they had their own agendas under their respective movements, they actually each shared one specific role in the overarching picture of bettering humanity. It was to raise awareness and empower people with the knowledge needed to make a difference.